Imagine having up to $1.4 trillion at your disposal. How luxurious would your life be? For King Salman bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, there is no need to imagine, as the entirety of the royal family's wealth lay right within his fingertips. As the supreme leader of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, one of the largest oil-producing nations in the world, wealth comes easily to this 87-year-old ruler, whose influence runs deep both in the Middle East and the Western world. From gold-plated toilets to extravagant trips around the world, King Salman has been known to always make a huge statement everywhere he goes. Join us as we explore the lavish lifestyle of one of the trillionaire lifestyles of King Salman. King Salman. Before we take a deep dive into King Salman's lavish lifestyle, let us explore his fascinating history. Born on December 31, 1935, Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud was the 25th son of King Abdulaziz, the founder of Saudi Arabia. His mother was Husa bint Ahmed Al Sudairi, and King Salman, along with his other 6 brothers, are known as the Sudairi Seven. From the very start of his life, he was born into opulence. You know how some people claim to be born with a silver spoon? Well, this prince was born with a golden spoon, growing up with the most luxurious things money can buy. Money itself was never a problem, as the Saudi royal family remains possibly the richest monarchy in the world, rivaling the British monarchy in wealth and affluence. But we'll get into that in a bit. Leadership also came naturally to young Salman. From a young age, it became obvious that he was born not just to rule, but to lead. His revolutionary ideas and practical principles of leadership took him step by step up the ladder until he finally ascended to the highest pedestal in the land. Kingship wasn't his first leadership opportunity. His other positions and responsibilities had prepared him for the heavy task that comes with being the king of a land as magnificent as Saudi Arabia. First, he became the deputy governor of Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, in 1954, at just the age of 19. Then, in 1963, he became the governor of Riyadh and held the position for 48 years, from 1963 to 2011. His time as governor was filled with amazing achievements and extraordinary strides that pushed Saudi to the forefront in both strategic and economic power. With his groundbreaking ideas and forward-thinking plans, he was able to transform Riyadh from a mid-sized town to an urban metropolis that it is today. His reign boosted tourism, attracting people from all over the world to feast their eyes on the wonders of the Arab world. He was also pretty good with international relations and was able to attract foreign investments to Riyadh and the rest of Saudi Arabia. Following the end of his reign as a governor, he couldn't escape the call of leadership and was subsequently appointed as the nation's Minister of Defense. In 2012, Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud was named the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, placing him on the path to ascending the throne of his father. Not long after, his half-brother King Abdullah died on January 23, 2015, and he was subsequently crowned the King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, one of the wealthiest nations in the entire world. Since his ascension to the throne, King Salman has inspired many revolutionary moves that have altered people's perception of the kingdom, while also maintaining the cultural integrity of the ancient land. As the King of Saudi Arabia, King Salman is one of the most powerful men in the world and is estimated to be worth about $18 billion. Now that's a lot of money. So how does he make this much money? And more importantly, how does he spend it? Net worth and AMP, source of income. Did you know that the British royal family has a net worth of about $80 billion? Seems like a lot, right? But compared to the royal family of Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, this huge sum seems like a drop in the ocean. Not only is this the wealthiest monarchy in the world, but they are also regarded as the wealthiest family in the entire world, and also the wealthiest in recorded history. This means that at no time in history did any family have more money or possessions than the House of Saud. Their net worth is estimated to be between $1.4 trillion to $3 trillion. That's right, trillions. How insane is that? To put that into perspective, that is about 16 times the net worth of the British royal family. These vast riches come from the oil reserves that were uncovered in the land back in 1938. On March 3, 1938, an American-owned oil well in Dammam, Saudi Arabia, which later came to be known as Chevron, drilled into what would later be identified as the largest source of petroleum in the entire world. It was like stumbling upon a treasure chest that had been hidden by nature for millions of years. Before this discovery, Saudi Arabians were largely nomadic, but with this new development, the nation moved drastically, sprinting into heights that were previously considered unachievable. The kingdom, under the rulership of King Abdulaziz, the father of the current ruler, maximized this discovery, establishing strong infrastructures that were dotted with wells, pipelines, refineries, and ports. This discovery also brought Saudi Arabia to the attention of many world powers, including Japan, China, America, Russia, and so on. Finally, the nation could have a say in international affairs, especially concerning the Middle East. The state-owned oil company Saudi Aramco is in charge of the oil industry and is estimated to be worth over $2 trillion, making it one of the most profitable oil companies in the world. The House of Saud consists of between 10,000 to 20,000 members, all of whom live the most luxurious lifestyle money can buy. But none can match the opulence of the king himself. So, how does he spend this fortune, you ask? Well, pay attention, because the things you are about to see will literally blow your mind and maybe make you a little jealous. The royal palaces. Let's face it, there are too many luxurious palaces with exorbitant prices owned by King Salman and the rest of the royal family. Talking about them one after the other might turn this video into a full-scale documentary. So, we'll just talk about 3 of the most luxurious: the Al Yamamah Palace, the Al Auja Palace, and of course the Urga Palace. The Al Yamamah Palace. Located in Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, the Al Yamamah Palace is the official residence of King Salman bin Abdulaziz. It serves as both a working palace as well as the headquarters for the royal court, so it's pretty understandable that an immeasurable amount of money was involved in making this the ultimate experience. The very exterior is a testament to the architectural prowess of the brilliant minds that designed and constructed this palatial structure. It features an elegant, modern design, with a nod to the traditional Arabic architecture, owing to the incorporation of geometric motifs and pointed arched windows. It's like the perfect blend of tradition and modernity. However, right at the exterior is where the minimalism ends. Inside is a whole different world altogether, from stunning chandeliers that look like art pieces on their own, to breathtakingly gorgeous carpets that will have you wondering whether if you're walking on clouds. This palace screams luxury. The Al Yamamah Palace also contains ornate antiques and finely crafted doors, paying homage to the level of attention to details that were put into the intricacies of this building. But the most eye-catching feature of this palace is the gold accent. There's literally gold everywhere you look. From the door handles to the bathrooms, everywhere is covered in gold. The land on which the palace itself stands is over 4 million square feet, to give you a sense of how ridiculously large it is. There's a bowling alley, a moving theater, several swimming pools, and of course a mosque. The floor is covered in beautiful Italian marble, and up above you, you will find intricately carved ceilings and finely crafted wall panels all around you. It's not surprising that this particular palace is so magnificent. After all, many high-ranking government meetings take place in the building. The Al Yamamah Palace has also hosted a couple of international dignitaries, including Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in 2022, President Xi Jinping of China in 2022, and President Jokowi Widodo of Indonesia in 2023. So, how much did it cost to build and maintain the Al Yamamah Palace? Well, that's pretty hard to decipher, but we're pretty sure the property will be valued in hundreds of millions of dollars. But sometimes King Salman craves a level of simplicity that's obviously unachievable at the Al Yamamah Palace, so he switches his residence and spends time at this next amazing palace, the Al Auja Palace. Sometimes in order to experience a change of scenery, or due to the turbulence that usually occurs within the Riyadh region, King Salman and his courtiers can decamp to the more traditional Al Auja Palace. Situated on the outskirts of Riyadh, northwest of the Al Yamamah Palace, the Al Auja Palace is considered more secure than the other palaces. This is a majestic edifice fit for a king of his stature. And even though the architecture may not appear as modern as the Al Yamamah Palace, it still functions effectively as a retreat palace for the king. This multi-million-dollar palace was built in the local Najdi style and features an interior that transports you back to a time when the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia wasn't so flush with money. In many of the rooms, you will find historic photos of Saudi Arabia. Back in 2016, King Salman received various guests at this palace, including the crown princes of Abu Dhabi and Dubai. In this picture from the event, you can see as he takes them on a tour of the palace, showcasing the history of the land through the black and white photographs. Instead of the usual bling that can be observed in the Al Yamamah Palace, this one showcases the best Saudi craftsmanship. Its exquisite, hand-carved wall details are a nod to the architectural brilliance that has existed in the region since its inception. You will also find mosaic flooring that screams luxury, as well as some subtle accents that are sure to blow your mind. From the top to the bottom, it is quite obvious that King Salman was going for a more contemporary look with the architectural elements and decorative styles that were incorporated into this palace. But as stunning as this palace is, you might want to check out the third palace on this list before you pick a favorite. Extravagant Palace. How rich do you have to have several palaces where you can chill and receive guests? Maybe as rich as King Salman of Saudi Arabia. This enigmatic ruler isn't afraid of splashing as much money as possible into his infrastructure, and that's pretty evident in this next palace. Also located in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the Extravagant Palace is mostly used for government functions, state receptions, and cultural festivals that showcase the arts and customs of Saudi to the international community. The palace is simply ostentatious and boasts of its fair share of rich silk carpets that will make you question your ideology about money and wealth. There's Italian marble everywhere, and of course gold in every corner possible. Only the finest materials were used in the construction and design of this palace. This palace was especially brought into the view of the world back in 2015, shortly after King Salman ascended the throne. The then President of the United States, Barack Obama, paid him a courtesy visit and was introduced to the grandeur of the place during the visit. You can see several luxury items, including a golden tissue dispenser of all things. There were also gold chairs, gold toilets, and other furniture that were brimming with the precious metal. Even the waste paper bins were made from silver, so you know no expenses were spared with this particular palace. But when the king of one of the wealthiest nations in the world is not chilling in one of his many palaces, he's traveling the world in style, aboard any one of his many private jets. That's right, he has more than one palace in the sky. What do you do when you've built the most magnificent edifice money can buy? You take that same level of luxury and replicate it in the skies. As befitting of his person, King Salman has not one, not two, but 6 private planes at his disposal. This includes a Boeing 747-400, which serves as the main aircraft. Although there are no widespread videos or photographs of the interior of this plane, for obvious reasons, the design and opulence is said to be out of this world. We're also pretty sure everything is gold-plated, and there's expensive carpeting in every corner possible. The plane itself is a passenger aircraft, capable of carrying up to 600 passengers. Imagine converting an airplane that large into a private plane. But that's not the only private jet owned by the king. He also has 2 Boeing 747-200s, 1 Boeing 747-300, and 1 Airbus A340-200. Every single one of these planes is tailored to the taste of the king and the royal family, and features magnificent interiors that will make you blush with amazement. Simply put, once you step on this plane, you'll instantly forget you're on a plane. Trying to guess how much these planes are worth, plus maintenance, is a maths that no one on the internet seems to have figured out yet. Some say it's about $3 billion annually, but that's just a tiny scoop from the ocean of wealth that's at the king's disposal. Extravagant trips. One thing the King of Saudi Arabia is known for is his extravagant trips. These are not your usual diplomatic trips that involve a ruler and a handful of aides. When King Salman travels, he shakes whatever city he's in to its core. The trip to Washington. On September 3, 2015, King Salman bin Abdulaziz arrived in Washington, D.C. on a diplomatic visit to the United States. This was his first official visit since his coronation as king, and the world will never forget the trip in a hurry. For his accommodation, King Salman rented the prestigious Four Seasons Hotel and had it redecorated from the top to the bottom. Even the guests that lived permanently in the hotel had to leave, as every single room was booked for the king and the many entourages that accompanied him on the trip. In order to satisfy the demands of the king, the hotel had to incorporate gold into every part of the hotel. From the mirrors to the hat racks, everything was covered in gold. How absolutely elegant, right? But that's not all. There was enough red carpet rolled out so King Salman and his family didn't have to touch the asphalt. Dozens of luxury cars filled the streets as the king and his family traveled through the streets of Washington in the most luxurious style possible, before meeting with the President of the United States. But this wasn't the only time the king had pulled such a stunt. Salman is known for always making a huge statement anytime he travels to other regions. Trip to Russia. When King Salman arrived in Russia back in 2017, with his entourage of about 1,500 royals, it was a monumental moment in history. For the first time ever, a reigning Saudi Arabian monarch set foot on Russian soil. As you would expect, the world held its breath as two of the most powerful rulers in the world sat down for a meeting that could cause a cataclysmic change in our world. But the diplomatic discussions are not our concern in this video. Our focus is more on the elegance and opulence that dotted the visit. In usual King Salman fashion, everything was top-notch. 2 luxury hotels in Moscow were completely booked out to accommodate the royal guests. In total, about $3 million was said to have been shelled out for booking both hotels. The king came with his own luxurious carpets, catering staff, and a whole lot of luxurious items to make their stay as comfortable as possible. Of course, the king has specific needs, especially concerning food, which has to be prepared by hand-picked chefs. So the buzz is pretty understandable. About 1,764 pounds of food were brought in for the king and his family. He also brought in his own furniture, so you know King Salman doesn't spare any expense when he travels. The main star of the show, however, was the gold-plated elevator that was supposed to transport the supreme ruler from his private plane. Unfortunately, due to the fact that gold doesn't really work well with electronics, the elevator jammed at some point, and the king had to walk the rest of the way down. Before we go on with the rest of the video, here's our subscribers' pick for today. Have you ever wondered how much gold King Salman has in his reserves? Well, that makes 2 of us. You see, considering the fact that many of the infrastructure and properties owned by this powerful ruler are covered in gold accents, it's not surprising that many people wonder how much actual gold is in his possession. Could it be that King Salman hides within a secret location, loads upon loads of gold bars, capable of shaking Fort Knox to its very foundation? Is the head of the richest monarchy in the world hoarding a gold supply that could literally feed an entire continent, as many people claim? Let us know what you think in the comments. Now let's get back to the video. Trip to Morocco. While the king's visit to Morocco in 2017 was regarded as more of a vacation than a diplomatic visit, it may probably be the most expensive of all these trips. Imagine a single visit accounting for up to 1.5% of the tourism revenue of an entire nation. Now that's pretty impressive. When King Salman landed in the country, he had with him an entourage of up to 1,000 people. You might be wondering how they all got to the country. Well, these aides, ministers, advisors, and relatives who accompany the king on his trips usually arrive in the country days or even weeks before the arrival of King Salman himself. This is so they can make everything perfect for the ruler once he arrives. During his stay, King Salman was said to have been housed in a 70-acre summer palace that was tailored to his specific taste. The property had to be outfitted with several new infrastructure to make it perfect for the king. This included the addition of some new buildings, helipads, and a big top tent to entertain the guests. Over 100 black Mercedes and Range Rovers were rented to facilitate the movement of the king and his aides throughout the city. The number of servants and aides that accompanied the king was said to have been so numerous that they would replace the staff of the hotels they occupied. Just imagine being that wealthy. In total, some $100 million was said to have been spent on this single vacation to Morocco, a figure that unsurprisingly made international headlines, although we're pretty sure it was more like loose change for the king. Trip to Tokyo. King Salman's visit to Tokyo in 2017 was the first visit to Japan by a Saudi Arabian monarch in over 5 decades. The visit was part of his Asian tour and was both for diplomatic and trade purposes. As usual, King Salman came with over 1,000 individuals, including princes, ministers, aides, and of course servants. These guests were said to have occupied up to 1,200 rooms for 3 nights in some of Japan's most luxurious hotels. Hundreds of limousines were also hired to convey the royals wherever they wished to go, including modified Mercedes-Benz S600s, which are some of the most luxurious limos on the market. The visit helped Japan strengthen diplomatic ties with the oil-rich nation. This was especially important, as Saudi Arabia happens to be Japan's largest oil exporter. A special seat was erected at the House of Representatives, from where he made his speech. The Istiqlal Mosque was also fitted with an elevator, and special gold-plated toilets per the king's request. The cargo that followed the king to Tokyo was so enormous that the air freight company in charge had to set aside about 572 members of its staff just for the cargo. Trip to France. Back in 2015, King Salman embarked on a 3-week vacation to France, which became one of the most talked about events of the year. The king touched down in his Boeing 747 and was transported from the airport in a convoy of armored Mercedes-Benz limousines. As usual, an entourage of up to 1,000 individuals accompanied him on this trip. They were all put in some of the most luxurious hotels in the most luxurious resort towns in France. To put it into perspective, some of these hotel rooms can cost upwards of €750 a night, so this wasn't a low-budget vacation. The king himself stayed at Château de l'Horizon, a €5 million holiday villa located in the Côte d'Azur town of Vallauris Golf Juan. Trip to Indonesia. At this point, you will agree that King Salman bin Abdulaziz knows how to make an entrance, so it shouldn't come as a surprise when he arrived in Indonesia with up to 459 tons of luggage. Accompanied by about 800 delegates and 620 staff, it was like an invasion. But that's just typical of the king. Notable items in the luggage were 2 Mercedes-Benz S600s and 2 electric lifts. It was like traveling around with 3 blue whales, to give you a scale of how large the cargo was. In total, about 26 flights were responsible for transporting both goods and humans to the country. Over 9,000 police officers were assigned to accompany the king and his delegation everywhere they went, as the government was pretty concerned about the safety of the king, following the several attacks by Islamic extremists. 4 of the most luxurious hotels in Jakarta welcomed the king and his guests. This included the Ritz, Raffles, and of course the prestigious Marriott. Trying to calculate how much all these cost will probably give you a headache, but we're sure it's very, very expensive. A worthy successor. Back in 2017, King Salman announced his new successor, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, his 7th son. This followed the dismissal of Mohammed bin Nayef, the king's nephew and former crown prince. Following the decline in his health, King Salman also succeeded the post of prime minister to the crown prince. So pretty much everything is in his care. Over time, Prince Mohammed has proven to be a worthy successor, and his past experience in leadership has proved vital in his decisions and innovations. He has also grown in ranks. In 2018, he was ranked as the 8th most powerful person in the world by Forbes. Now, that's a pretty impressive achievement. But how much money does this 38-year-old crown prince have? According to estimations, Prince Mohammed is said to be worth about $25 billion. Just like his father, the crown prince loves to live a luxurious lifestyle, and he's absolutely unapologetic about it. Although many often accuse him of lavish spending, he once clapped back on his critics during one of his many interviews, claiming that people shouldn't expect him to live a modest life since he wasn't necessarily poor. He has money, lots and lots of money, and isn't afraid to spend it. Prince Mohammed is especially notable for his luxurious car collection, which remains one of the most expensive and unrivaled car collections in the entire world. This is very surprising, because according to reports, he doesn't really care much for cars. This extensive collection includes a Lamborghini Aventador, worth over $500,000, a 6-wheel off-road Mercedes G63, worth over $1 million, a Bentley Flying Spur, worth about $700,000, and, of course, a Rolls-Royce covered in gold. These cars are great and all, but there is no greater luxury item in his collection that can rival the $400 million super yacht that the Crown Prince acquired in 2015. This yacht has been regarded as one of the most expensive in the entire world, and the price tag is absolutely worth it. Measuring about 439 feet in length, this is literally the epitome of luxury. It features a combined space of up to 48,000 square feet, providing room to fix anything the prince so desires. Some of the facilities available on this yacht include 7 swimming pools. Yes, you heard that right. There are 7 swimming pools on this yacht, so you don't even have to share. It also features an underwater viewing room for checking out the aquatic life underneath, a health spa, saltwater pool, an outdoor cinema, and a nightclub. It can conveniently accommodate up to 24 guests in 12 cabins with private decks. The rest of the cabins are used by the 52 crew members, including the captain. The most fascinating part of this yacht should be the snow room, which is usually cooled to 12 degrees Fahrenheit and features real snow falling from the ceiling. The royal family, however, doesn't spend all the money on luxury items at the expense of the ordinary citizens. The people of Saudi Arabia enjoy a lavish lifestyle, with basic amenities available in every part of the country. Prince Mohammed himself is known for his generosity. According to sources, the crown prince spends up to 51% of his income on the people, reserving the rest for himself. In the world of the rich and powerful, the Saudi royal family stands as a symbol of opulence, luxury, and affluence, and will probably remain so for a very long time. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.